I was a young lad of about 9 years of age when I first came across the story of the Alamo. And I did it by reading a book which had been given to me by one of my aunts as a birthday present. I don't remember the title of the book, but it was a story of Davy Crockett, who naturally met his end at the Alamo in Texas in 1836. I made a complete emotional bond with this story and what was behind it, the bravery of that small band of men standing up against overwhelming odds for something they truly believed in. And that stayed with me for the rest of my life. After reading the book that my aunt had given me, I then saw the film starring Fess Parker. A few years later, I would then come across the John Wayne film, The Alamo. John Wayne was a particular favourite star of mine, and to have John Wayne appearing in one of my favourite stories was sheer heaven for this 13-year-old boy. When I was 18, I joined the army myself, because my father was in the army when I was a kid and we were in Germany when I first came across the Fess Parker film. Anyway, I'm 18 years old, I'm back in Germany, I'm a serving soldier, and I walked into the local social centre where they had a library, and I saw a book called A Time to Stand by Walter Lord. I've devoured this book. This is the first book I ever read about the Alamo, and it still to this day is my favourite book. When I was 20, I began to write song lyrics, and it was my ambition that one day I would write a song about the story of the Alamo. And when I came to put pen to paper, I did so with the images of John Wayne's film in my mind and the narrative of Walter Lord's book. Based on those two creative sources, I put my song together. It was fairly amateurish, not very good, and I left it alone for 30 years. 30 years went by, and I taught myself to play guitar, so the lyric writer was now writing his own tunes, and my chosen field was contemporary folk music. As a songwriter, I had developed from a lyric writer to writing my own tunes, which I didn't do in the first place when I was a member of the folk band Stonefield Tramp. In the late 90s, I decided that I would like to now attempt to write a proper song about the Alamo. As a song, it was lacking something. It ended up a rather long, cowboy-like ballad. It needed a chorus. So, of course, all this did was make it even longer. And I decided that I would have 3 verses in the song rather than 10 verses. And eventually, it turned out to last about 18.5 minutes long. At the front of the song, we had the wind blowing. So we decided we'd make the wind blow at the end of the song as well, stretching it out to 18 minutes and 36 seconds. The exact year, 1836, which the Alamo fell. My friend and I have really enjoyed putting the video together for this song, and we hope you enjoy watching it. Thank you very much.
Down south in Texas, near old Mexico, lies a crumbling mission, the Alamo. San Antonio de Bejar, name of the town. this little story is written around. 189 men with a need to be free stood side by side for their beliefs. William Barrett Travis, the man in command, Colonel James Bowie at his right hand. They held a conference and decided to go to fortify the walls of the Alamo. It's not much, but it's the best that we have to buy some time for old General Sam. Meanwhile in Mexico, Santa Anna set forth at the head of an army of considerable force. When I get there, I will show no quarter. All of the rebels will be put to the sword. About this time in old Tennessee, Davy Crockett with his treasured old Betsy saddled his horse, southwards he rode, heading for Texas, adventures untold. 12 or so men, faith in their hearts, a small party galloped through day and dark, eager to arrive, to do what they could, to assist the Texians in achieving statehood. They arrived in San Antonio and there they found the Texians ready to stand their ground. This was the pride that shone from their eyes, walking a town that's held high. William Travis was called from his bed early one morning by the sentry who said, riders approaching, dressed in buckskin, their leader wears cool hat and a cheery grin. Open the gates, let them come in. That must be Crockett, I've heard of him. Captain Dickinson, would you please come with me? There's someone here who I'd like you to meet. Comes a time when a man must make up his mind, stand up for all he believes, boldly make a stand regardless of the price, so that others can obtain liberty. Sleepily stumbling barrack door. Bowie picks up his blade from the floor. Stepping in the sunlight, he pauses to see the body of man from Tennessee. The trail converges on the former congressman, who greets them all with a wave of his hand. My name is Crockett, we've heard of your plight. It must be Jim Bowie, I could tell by that night. Reading's over, they sit down to talk. Things to be discussed, supplies to be sought. The sentry on the wall interrupts with a shout. Dust in the town, many riders about. They rush to the wall with a sight to behold. Thousands of soldiers sun glinting off the gold of the masked bands assembled, who began to play the Tiguelios that marched on their way. The Alamo surrounded by 2,000 men. The Tiguelio played again and again. Cannon ring garrison, cavalry pickets too. For the defenders, a day of reckoning due. The Mexican army lined up en masse. Behind the walls, the Texians stood fast. From that vast host, a rider broke loose, heading for the Alamo under a flag of truce. Calling on the Texians to surrender the fort, the rider promised none would be harmed, dropping his ash on a cannon nearby. Travis's answer thundered through the sky. Wailing his horse, the rider returned, his general's orders mocked and spurned. In San Antone, the red flag flew high, stating quite clearly none would survive. For 13 days, 13 long nights, Santa Anna tried with all his might. The Texians stood firm behind those walls. The Mexican army could not gain control. Comes a time when a man must make up his mind, stand up for all he believes, boldly make a stand regardless of the price, so that others can obtain liberty. reinforced recently from Mexico. Santa Anna prepared for one more assault. Tomorrow the rebels will wish they weren't born. I shall attack before the dawn. At last a reprieve, at last a rest. The defenders truly had given up their best. That night they knew that on the following day, for their valor and courage, a price would be paid. At the dead of night, Travis called and they came. The willing, the able, the sick and the lame. My friends, tomorrow could be our last day. Cross over my sword line those who will stay. Oh, he was carried, confined to his bed, too weak to walk, brave enough to care. One man declined to cross that line. Over the walls he started to climb. Good luck to you, Rose, the men below cried. Leave this place, ride through this night. Find General Sam and give him our news. We shall need help before this next day's through. The morning was broken by a bugle's lone call. Pounding cannonballs broke the north wall. The Mexicans poured in through the open gap. They paid dearly as the Texians fought back. Outnumbered and outgunned, there could only be one end. By 6 o'clock, 30 defenders were dead. Brave as they were, they paid the final price. The Mexican army had captured its pride. The 6th day of March, the year 1836, the sun arose on a scene of carnage. No quarter was given, no survivor to tell of that gallant band and just how they fell. Susanna Dickinson, Angelina in her arms, was safely led through the victorious throng. Beneath Angelina's dress, tucked safely out of sight, the ring bequeathed by Travis the previous night. Comes a time when a man must make up his mind, stand up for all he believes, boldly make a stand regardless of the price, so that others can obtain liberty. What were her thoughts as she was led away from the battlefield, the smoke and the flames. What now for Texas? What price liberty? Stumbling and weary, burdened with grief. It was not for nothing, it was not in vain. The battle bought time, an army was raised. The Mexicans beaten, driven home in shame. Texas was given freedom to taste. Fly your banners proudly, let them unfurl. There are deeds of valor all over this world. Few can compare in depth or in scope to the brave sacrifice of the Alamo.